YouTube, it's Alec here with you, Underground, coming at you with another top 8 deck profile from the quote-unquote YCS in Springfield, Illinois. And once again, for this Dvorak tournament, I myself top 8'd, and once again, I was knocked out of top 8 by the guy who ended up winning the whole thing. So, a typical Dvorak tournament for myself. So, a quick little update, since most of the time I just kind of post for fun decks on this channel. Competitively, I jumped on the Lightsworn ruler bandwagon, just like everyone else and their brother, but upon playing a lot of the standard versions, I say, which aren't really standard when you think about it, because the deck has only been out 2 days and we don't really know what the best version is, but playing some of the versions that people were generally accepting doing well, I found them kind of lackluster and inconsistent, so I ended up putting together a deck that looked a lot more like the Lightsworn variants that I played back in Dragon Ruler format, which were based off of decks that had top tier 1 event, Lightsworn decks that had top tier 1 events in the format previous to Dragon Ruler format of last year, the one where they were tier 0. So, I kind of used that for my basis of ratios and for a lot of the theorio behind the deck, and I ended up just adding Dragon Rulers and to make the deck stronger. But then I had decided that it might be a good idea to smokescreen out of the Dragon Ruler portion of the deck and side into pure Sacktastic Lightsworns, just like I played back in the day, because siding into pure Lightsworns actually mitigates a lot of the side deck that they're putting in for you, because the general consensus around Lightsworn rulers is to side for the Dragon Ruler part. So if you smokescreen the Dragon Ruler part out, you actually end up with a really good shot at like making a lot of cards that used to like one card wreck your deck just be functionally useless. And this idea was so successful at this tournament, at least, that I was the only Lightsworn player out of I think there were like 10 of us who ended up moving on to top 8. So I decided that I'll show the deck with you guys and see what you think, and we can talk about it together. So here's the deck for game 1, at least. 1 Honest, 3 Lumina, 2 Raiden, 3's too many. The one-ofs were playing for names: Jane, Minerva, Raiko, Aaron. The one that people don't like out of these is Raiko, and sometimes Jane. I feel like having, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I feel like having 8 names is the right number of names you should include in the deck, and having 3 2-ofs it's like I said, it's that same ratio that I think is just, it makes the deck a lot cleaner. So even though the Raiko is bad, just playing him for the name is good, and because he's functionally better than the other Lightsworns. Thankfully, with Minerva and Raiden, we no longer have to play cards like Arcus or Celestia to get to that 8-name cap. 2 Lila, she's good because you pop back row. If you get multiple off Soul Charge, pop multiple back rows, really good. 2 Gareth, people also fight me on this one. You play 2 Gareth because Gareth lets you get exponentially further into your deck. People think it's a sacky card, but when you're playing 8 names, the ability to get the draw is random, yes, but it does happen quite often. It does put you in a very strong position. And when you're playing a deck like this, you have to embrace the power that puts it above the rest of the decks, or you're just wasting your time. And especially with Raiden now, where you can mill 2 with Raiden, and then he'll trigger and mill 2 and potentially draw you a card, and you don't have to wait for the end phase to make that happen. It's just very good. The only bad thing about Gareth is double drawing him, which honestly at 2 you really don't do. He supercharges your soul charge plays and lets you get a really good mill in, and for those of you who have played this set for long enough, you'll know that one good mill really gets you far enough into your deck to win the game. Moving on to the non-Lightsworns, we have 3 Curry Bandit. He serves functionally as what Card Trooper used to do for the deck. Very strong because he gets you to your spells and puts what you don't want in the graveyard. Now we have our dead draws part. I call them dead draws because when playing the deck, you do have to accept that sometimes you will draw them, and drawing them is very bad, and you have to have ways to deal with that. So there can only be a certain number. I felt like this was the ideal number. It's the reason I'm not playing Wolf, even though Peace some people are playing Wolf, I didn't want to have to draw it and deal with it when I already had like so many cards I had to draw and deal with. So 2 Necroguard. Now, like I said, I'd play 3, but drawing it's really bad. 2 Eclipse Wyverns. Before ARG this weekend, I didn't even know that people were like testing with 3. It seems really inconsistent to me because drawing that card is very, very bad. 3 Dragon Rulers. I'm playing 3 instead of 2 because a lot of people are playing cards like Wyvern Buster and Collar Serpent, and I don't really get that when the Dragon Rulers functionally serve the same purpose. The purpose of those cards being to banish your Eclipse Wyverns. The difference being is Dragon Rulers have functionality in the grave. You need 1 to hit the grave in order to banish your Wyverns. Your Dragon count's already kind of low. You play 10 in the deck, but resolving 1 is game-breaking when you can get your Judgment Dragons back to hand. These cards aren't bad to draw because you can summon them out of the hand, so it's not like awful to draw them, even though it's not particularly great. Discarding them for cost isn't really paying a cost, which is nice. And like worst comes to worst, you just banish them for each other. And as I said before, because you really only need 1 off to you only need 1 off to achieve your win condition, and 2 off is just super overpowered, so banishing them for each other isn't really a big problem here. Our boss monsters, we have 3 JD, 2 Diablos. I was playing a BLS, but I took it out for the second Diablos. Diablos is just really good. It's just better because it's a dragon, and so functions when you mill it as Dragon Ruler fuel, which BLS doesn't, and it'll also banish your Wyverns via its effect to stack top deck spells or traps, which is really good if you can hit a wiretap with it, which also is really good. And then you keep it in because it's a boss monster when you Smokescreen your Dragon Rulers out, and so that still gives your deck like a tremendous amount of power. Spells, charge, recharge, those are all pretty self-explanatory. 2 Monster Reincarnation, so you want to have around 5 discard outlets. I'd almost say 6, but I can't find the room for a 6th in this deck. And the other discard options are traps, and you want to keep their wiretaps / ice hands as dead as possible. So Monster Reincarnation was kind of the way I chose to go here. When you side into Puresworns, Monster Reincarnation is very valuable because it allows you to pick up your Judgment Dragons and your Diabloses by pitching cards that you don't want in your hand. So all around, very good card. And the trap card we're going to play for this is 3 Waboku. Waboku lets you summon up Lightsworns with Soul Charge or via Lumina's effect and get a good mill in. And then when they attack, you Waboku and protect your Lightsworns. And then on your turn, you can go into Exceeds and get rid of their back row so that you can make your big play successfully. Furthermore, life points are very important because you are playing Soul Charge and you are playing Judgment Dragon, you are playing Michael. So using Waboku to maintain your life points is also very useful in that regard. So let's go to the extra deck briefly. It's pretty self-explanatory. Exceeds, we have Exiton, Rhapsody, Emerald, Direwolf. For the rulers, Draco Big Eye, Level Chain, a Mech-Equipped Engineer, a Leviator, and a 101, which I do not have present with me. Synchros, we go Stardust Spark, Crimson Blader, Spark Dragon. Some people would play a Scrap Dragon over Stardust Dragon, but I like the functionality with both Stardust Dragons against Hat, because Hat has a tendency to tempo this deck out, because they can, mess with your Curry Bandits and mess with your guys while you try to set up, so just that there. And then your 7s, Black Rose, and obviously Michael, because he came in that structure deck too. And now into the side deck. The most important part of the side deck is going to be your Triple Decree. Shuts down traps and lets you do what you want without interruption. 3 MST, so you don't get floodgated. 3 Max C. I like side decking these big 3-ofs. Max C lets you draw cards when your opponent special summons, which is good. 2 Construction Train Signal Reds. This is to give you something to draw with your Max C, while furthermore, people would say play Scarecrow or play Battle Fader because they'll stop all the attacks, but Construction Train Signal functionally stops 2 attacks. So it will stop you from getting OTK'd even if you take a little damage. The trade-off there is that Construction Train Signal has tremendous utility because you can protect your monsters from getting Crimson Bladered with it. which is very useful, and also early game you can protect the Lightsworn to get a mill through. Also serves as a useful level 3 for Synchro material and Exceed material with Luminous, so I felt like he was just the OTK stopper of choice in this deck, and I would encourage you to test him and refer people to me when you do, because I want to be famous and have credit for something cool, like a construction train signal red. Okay, and Dark Hole and Breakthrough Skill. In hindsight, I would play a second Breakthrough Skill over Dark Hole, but these were just stop floodgate cards like Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Fiend, and I did lose to them, but like you just want to have utility on the mill and on the draw in order to do that, in order to have the maximum chance possible of getting yourself out of those cards, which will shut you down. And finally, because we side out the Dragon Ruler part, we side 2 Imperial Iron Walls, because in the mirror match, when they don't side out of the Dragon Rulers and you do, you lock them out completely with Iron Wall. And obviously have your maxis there. So what I mean by smoke screening out of the Dragon Ruler part is when I side out the 3 Rulers and the 2 Wyverns. What this does is it leaves you functionally with a pure Lightsworn ruler deck, like one you would see in 2013, which is good for me because I know how to play Lightsworns from 2013. Most of the time I'll also side out the second Gareth, just because it is a little bit sacky, and you can tone down the sackiness a little bit once you get your consistency cards. And for most of the games you do that, you're going to side in 3 Decree and 2 MST over the Dragon Ruler part, because this is going to let you get all of your pure Lightsworn plays through, leaving their cards to stop your pure Lightsworn plays from stopping your pure Lightsworn plays, making your plays go on without a hitch, and also stopping their side deck cards against the Dragon Rulers from being particularly live against you, giving you a tremendous advantage there, which is all tipping the odds in your scale ever so slightly, so that you can pull off a good Lightsworn sacking. And I know it's kind of ridiculous to talk about, because nobody likes getting sacked by just a traditional Lightsworn deck. They feel like the Rulers add more skill to it, but there is skill to be had in Lightsworns, even though it is very luck-based. When you play a deck like this, as opposed to a more conventional Dragon Ruler Lightsworn build, you clean up some consistency issues, and when you're leaving that many cards dead, the chances of you sacking do become significantly higher. And really, if you get game 1, which you should, then doing this for games 2 and 3, like, you should sack them one of those games. And obviously, I did have relative success. The only deck I did end up losing to is the one that many of you have probably already seen on our channel. It's Thunder Dragon Hat, and it's ridiculous and powerful and something to be scared of, but obviously that's something for different videos. So I hope you guys appreciated that. Obviously, if I were siding into something like the mirror match, then we wouldn't do any of that. Instead, we would side our Iron Walls, our Maxis, and our Train Signals. And depending on how game 1 went, there's different cards that I would cut to make that happen. In all likelihood, it would probably be Wabaku, because the card's pretty strong, but it's not like end all be all strong. It's just, it really helps when you're established. When you're established, it gets you games, but it doesn't help you establish. And a lot of the problem in this deck is getting established, and so that's the problem that I have to work on. But it ended up working out for me in the long run. Lost once in Swiss and once in top 8 to the same guy. Ended up beating 2 Georgia, Medolce, something I can't remember. Other stuff I can't remember. What else? Oh, and Hat. Yeah, Hat that wasn't Thunder Dragon Hat. I beat 2 of those too. So that's the deck. This is the second top 8 mat I have now. And rate, comment, subscribe. discuss. Obviously, this is a work in progress. I built it the night before the event. The shadow siding did end up being pretty sound, but I don't know how well it will work in the long run. So, all very good things to discuss. So, with that, I am out.